Hello, welcome to the queue. It is Operation Casino Royale, UK, Commonwealth, France, turn number 5. So for our purchases, we have $16 for Britain. They're going to start a fortification in Egypt, 2 militia, 1 anti-aircraft gun, 1 paratrooper. $7 for the FEC, 1 infantry, 2 militia, and Anzac has 13. They're going to buy a fighter, send 2 to China for a militia upgrade, and save 1. Let's roll our techs. Construction and factories. And construction is the red dice. So we got an 11 and a 3. So factories is green, and that's new. Yeah. So 2 at 2, 2 at 1. Not too bad. We still have 2 more turns. When do we start rolling? Turn 7. So we got 1 more turn to get those advanced to the second mark. Let's no combat. Let's do some movement. I guess we'll start down here. We'll have an infantry and an artillery come out of Sydney into New South Wales. We have a Anzac transport that's going to strategic naval move out of I-11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go into port here in southern Australia. And I believe Japan can do nothing about it because you can't declare war on a strategic naval move. The other strategic naval move is from Singapore in port. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in port here in South Africa. And the same goes for the Italians and the Japanese we passed along the way. We have no movements here. Or do we want to move the guy from Bengal in? I guess we might as well. What's the difference? We'll bring him from Bengal into Calcutta. No elder movements. No movements. No movements. No movements. So here we've got some shifting around. We're going to take this FEC destroyer out of M2. I grab a escort marker. We're going to go on escort here in M8. We'll leave the torpedo boat destroyer on escort here. Oh, that's French. French turn. Never mind. All right, so the British sub that was in M2 will come out 1, 2, 3. We're going to join these German subs, see what's so exciting about that sea zone. We've got in A44, light carrier with a tactical coming over to M2. You know what? We're just going to move the whole marker here. I'm going to take that marker down to M2 and we'll just reform it down there. What is not going is that light carrier, a destroyer. We got a destroyer and a cruiser. They're going to come over here and escort. These are going to a sea zone underneath. We're going to leave 1 destroyer in A21. And I believe, what were we going to do with that? Battle cruiser or destroyer? I think we were going to leave that battle cruiser there. All right, so these two all 3 are going to go here when I move. Jumping on this card is in this transport here in A21. I'm going to grab the 2 infantry. The transport that was in A21 is just going to go into port there in southern England. All right, so let's move our card, our task force marker, and everything can make that except for the transport and the battleship. They will have to stop here in A44 and go in port here in Gibraltar. So we drop off our 2 infantry and go in port, and then the battleship has to go in port as well. All right, but the other ships can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Germany's more than welcome to declare war if they want. We can fight those subs with all those ships. All right, so, I forgot. Marker. Task force marker. So let's leave those ships on there. All right, so what do we got here? We're going to move this French destroyer. So let's put 1 destroyer on escort duty. Coming over will be 3 heavy cruisers. from A44, the light cruiser from A44, the light carrier from A44, the torpedo boat destroyer from A44, and one destroyer from A44. All right, so we'll leave this guy in A44, that destroyer. He'll go on escort. All right, these three ships here were coming to A27, which was buried when I had the task force marker there. So that is a battle cruiser, destroyer, a light carrier, and the fighter comes out of London. 1, 2, 3, 4, lands on the carrier. Now, I don't know if I have to put those on escort. I think I do. I don't think the carrier makes them on escort. I think they have to physically do it. This is on escort, no matter what you do. All right, so we've got a destroyer here in A21 that stayed, and then from that card, this cruiser and destroyer came over to A18. All right, so coming down from A23 is our torpedo boat destroyer and coastal defense ship, 1, 2. And they're just going to hang out in the sea zone A21. All right. So I'm thinking that is the extent. Oh, no, I got this seaplane marked. All right, seaplane 1, 2, 3, 4 into Sierra Leone. So they come down 1, 2, 3. So the farthest they can get, I can reach. So I'll have at least one shot at them. Not a very good one, but better than nothing. All right, so I'm thinking that is it for the British moves. No, it's not. We're going to move the fighter out of London into southern England along with the medium bomber. And let's see, the infantry from northern England will walk down. All right. That's it's going to stay there. All right, I think that's it for Britain. Let me look if I got any more markers. And I do not. So let's place out their goods. All right. So we'll start over here with the Anzac. They got a fighter and their $2. So their $2 will come out of one of these ports here in Sydney and up to Kwang Tung, where they can do what they want. And of course, the fighter goes in Sydney. That's all their money. They saved 1. All their money. They got an infantry and 2 militia. So we are putting a infantry and a militia in Calcutta and a second infantry or militia down here in Malaya. So they're maxed. Got to have them maxed. On to Britain. Let's see. Just grab all this stuff, and I'm going to leave that there so I remember to finish that fort next turn. All right, so the fort goes on the border here at El Alamein, because that stack might be coming in a couple turns. Who knows? Maybe coming next turn. 1 militia in Aden, 1 militia in Cyprus. The anti-aircraft gun goes in Cape Town, and the paratrooper goes up here in London. And that is it for the British turn. Let's look at cash. They spent all their 16. They are at 16, so they get it back. FEC 7, Anzac 5. So they'll be at 7 and 5. So next turn, Anzac 6, FEC 7, 16 for the UK. All right, on to France. Of course, they got a jet at 8. Let's see what we got. Aha! That's what I like to see. All right. So they fail. That's what I want. All right. I don't want them getting 2 at 2 before they're wiped out. They have 12 on their purchase, 2 militia, 1 anti-aircraft gun, and we're going to lend-lease the KMT and AA gun. So probably be our final act as France. So we've got this destroyer on M2 is going to come out 1, 2 into A35 and go on escort. This what is it here? Light cruiser You know, wonder. I guess if they can attack it if they want, I don't really care. Um, it'll go on escort duty in A28. I got two subs here in A35. One comes up to A19, and the other comes up to A19. Oh, the other one was A20, sorry. So A20, A19. So that gives me escort everywhere that's important. Not that Germany's going to turn this turn, but they certainly could if they wanted to. It may be one more turn. We'll see. All right. Oh, always mark. Strategic naval movement from M1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it'll go in port here in French Guiana. And hopefully when they roll for those transports to go Vichy or Free France or sink, we'll get one of them. That's the goal. All right, adjustments here in France. I think what we're going to do, we're not going to rail. We're going to do something different. I'm changing it here on the fly. We're going to leave our artillery there. We got our anti-tank or tank destroyer from Paris going up into Picardy. We've got the two motorized coming up 1-2 into Picardy. All right, so we're going to take one infantry out of Alsace-Lorraine. It goes into Paris. And from Paris, no, from southern France, one militia, one infantry go into Aquitaine. All right, so let's see what we got here. I think that's probably good. I don't think we care about Normandy so much. We'll see if we can take out some first. I wonder if I should send one of those motorized. The motorized that was in Normandy can go 1-2 into Alsace-Lorraine. That's 3 on each front. We have a crack at an armor, maybe. Who knows? It doesn't matter what you do with France. They're pretty much toast. Battleships are staying. One more move here. We got the sub in P42. We're going to join up with the other 3 subs in P43. We're going to make it easy for global war enthusiasts when rolling for Vichy and Free France ships. All right, so the anti-aircraft gun will make its way across the ocean and into Kwangtung there at that port. I'll just chip that out later so it matches. And then we've got a French anti-aircraft gun and a 2 militia. And 1 militia is going here in southern France. The anti-aircraft gun going in Paris along with, oh, you know what? I could put that militia out there and at least force the issue. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. If they're going to attack next turn, we'll make them attack everything, right? Yeah, it doesn't work that way. All right. So France, they spent their 12, and they are back up to what? 10. So for next turn, they'll have 10. If France has a next turn, because Germany looks ugly. But right now, it's time for Italy, and they are not going to be ugly. They're going to remain peaceful, because that's what they do. All right, I'm back sooner than thought. I didn't do a recap. Plus, as soon as I turned it off, I was thinking there's some spots here I don't need to escort because I have this French fighter on the map, which is basically an escort. So that destroyer that I put off, the British destroyer in A21, will just come down to A27 instead. That's plenty. And I guess if we wanted to, I guess we could put that on. No, we don't. We have the fighter that's at 6. So this here is more just to protect that little fleet. The British or the French are going to disappear at some point. And then here we've got this plane on the carrier, which also blocks the sub movement. So I don't need these two. So this FBC destroyer will just come back to M8, and that torpedo boat destroyer that's French will it'll just come into M2 as well. we don't need anything on escort duty there because the German subs can't get by that without fighting. So, silly me. The last thing was these 3 ships here, which is 2 destroyers and a light cruiser. They actually, we're going to move 1 destroyer, the Anzac destroyer, 1, 2, 3, and we'll go in port. We'll hide from these Japanese subs just in case they want to get crazy. But we're at a port here in I-4. So it'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll join the forces here in M2. And now I will do the recap. So a couple of non-com adjustments, and then we'll do a recap. So we'll start up north in A18. On escort is a destroyer heavy cruiser. A19, A20, A35 is all French destroyers on escort duty. A28 is a French light cruiser on escort duty with a British sub. A27 on escort duty, 2 destroyers, 1 battle cruiser, light carrier, and a fighter. A21 has a French fighter on map, a torpedo boat destroyer, a coastal defense ship. In port is the transport. A17 is a submarine. Northern England is a militia. Southern England is an infantry, militia, medium bomber, fighter. London is an infantry, 2 militia, 1 paratrooper, 1 air transport. A23, A6 are French battleships. Picardy is an artillery, motorized, and a tank destroyer. Alsace-Lorraine, 2 infantry, motorized. Southern France, infantry, militia. Aquitaine, infantry, militia. Normandy, militia. Paris is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry, 2 militia, and an anti-aircraft gun. Moving down, French Guiana is 2 transports in port. Foreign Legion, mountain infantry. A44 is a British destroyer on escort, and on map is a French medium bomber. In port in Gibraltar, 3 battleships, FEC transport, British transport. Gibraltar, 3 infantry, 1 marine, 1 mountain, 1 militia. Sierra Leone is a seaplane. M2, a destroyer on escort, French torpedo boat destroyer, and on the task force marker would be a light carrier with a tactical bomber, torpedo boat destroyer, 3 destroyers, 3 light cruisers, 4 heavy cruisers. And moving along, Malta, Cyprus, Aden, British Somaliland, all militias. Lower Egypt, we started a fort. We've got a FEC fighter, 3 infantry, and a militia. Cape Town is an infantry and an aircraft gun. In port in South Africa is a destroyer. I guess we don't need the destroyer in port. Just the transports in port in South Africa. The destroyer will stay out here in I-1. And let's look at FEC. Militia in southern India, Ceylon. Calcutta has 2 militia, 4 FEC infantry, 1 Gurkha, 3 British infantry, 1 British anti-aircraft gun. Malaya, 2 infantry, 2 militia. Hong Kong, militia infantry. Sarawak militia. I just made a mess. In port here in southern Australia is a transport. South Wales, infantry, artillery. Queensland, infantry. Sydney, fighter, infantry, motorized, militia, 2 militia on the New Zealand Islands. That's it. Sorry about messing that up and not adding that on.